Oh God. So I might even not be able to use my typewriter today. I don't know yet. We're sitting thinking. Okay. I have 3 simultaneous like stories going on all at once in book 2. Right? This person's viewpoint of whatever the fuck's going on for them, this person's, and then that person's. Well, I plotted out everyone's story for the first 3 books. I don't know how many more are going to be after that, but I just know the first 3, like I know their story arcs. Right? Book 2 began. As soon as I was the secondary character, so you have your main hero that was in book 1, I know his story, kinda. Secondary character, I'm like, okay, I got it all laid out. I know exactly where he's gonna go, I know who he's gonna meet, I know all this stuff. Well, I had to delay it because I didn't feel like the guys were ready yet. So, I was like, I'm gonna take him to a whole new land. And I don't know why it felt fucking right. I was like, we're gonna go all the way over here. Fuck the plan that we had. And I did. And I've been fumbling in the dark with him in this land, quietly unraveling some story. Now, I just yesterday was working a little bit more on Eris and Nahum. Those are the 2 I was talking about. There's Eris, Nahum, and Anna. Those are the 3 main characters so far. Well, with Nahum, he was doing his thing, and all of a sudden, he had to go into a forest. I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, because fuck it, you know. What, 10 people watching this will know what happens in a book that no one's ever heard about? Who cares? Anyway. So, he ends up going into the woods, just for story reasons. An ancient forest, one that was connected to one of the mighty forests, the original forest of the world, the forest that the Anaku revere, the forests of Mother, where she could be felt, where the veil is the thinnest, into what Mother comes from, without to ruin anything else. Now, while he was in there, he has an Anaku guide. And they're chit-chatting, you know, and I was using it as an opportunity to kind of talk about lore, like, well, the Anaku believe this, well, mankind believes that, and blah, blah, you know, all that shit. And then now they're moving forward. Nahum sees something in the periphery. Now, these forests, these sacred forests, okay, not every forest in the book is like this, just the sacred ones, have a canopy that dots out all light. It is perpetually dark. Not 1 ounce of fucking light is allowed into it. It's like its own room, in a dimensional sense. And he's got this torch, right? His buddy handed it to him. He's like, my hand's tired, you take it. He's like, okay, whatever. And as he's kind of sweeping across, because the Naku can see at night and in the dark, they don't care, but it's the human beings that are like, well, I can't fucking walk in perpetual darkness. I just can't do that. So he gets handed it and he sees something in the distance in the dark moving. And it felt like nice, but it felt not nice. It was weird. And then he was like, well, I don't know what that's about. But it also kind of resembled the woman that he's got like a thing for, like a crush on or whatever. He's like, there's no way. And the Anaku's like, be careful, don't stray from the light. You know, you humans are, I don't want to say like preyed upon in the woods, but something of that nature. I don't remember how I wrote it. You're more susceptible in these woods. And then he's like, well, what was that? And he's like, you know, the Fae folk. This is where it's going to get to, like, where I'm like, God damn it. And he's like, the Fae folk. And I was like, without stopping, I call the Anaku Oak right now because I'm going to give him his Anaku name. I just want to keep in mind that his name's, like, reminds me of the word oak. Without stopping, Oak recited the story of the Fae. And I was going to tell a story. And then I stopped. I was like, yeah, we already did 7 pages. We'll go into this fresh tomorrow, which is today. And I sat down for the typewriter and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. What are the Fae? And I was looking at some of my journals and stuff. And then I was like, aren't the Fae like the fairy people in Irish mythology and other random peoples that believed in fairies as well? This already exists. So I started doing a little bit of research, and there are some conceptions that they might be demoted pagan deities. There's other ones saying that they might be demoted angels or demons. Maybe there's spirits of the dead. Maybe there's some sort of elemental or hidden people, right? Fairy are much bigger than like the little pixie fucking women flying around. Like, that's just Disney shit. The real Fae people are intricate, and there's so many different types of them, and they all come. Here you go. This is why I was like, oh Jesus, I might have to do a whole ass thing. They all come from the other realm, the other world. And in my book, the other world is a very important, significant place that is incredibly integral to the story. Like, it's not just like, there's like, this exists and it's pretty crazy, and sometimes, you might have to have something like, no. It is integral to the overall story arc of every character in the book. More than even I know right now. Like, I only know this much of the story. I'm like, I think I know what's going to happen, but I know there's more. But I do know that the other world is incredibly important. So, little bit of, let me take you back for a minute. The other world was always a concept in my book. Before I even discovered it was a real fucking thing, believed to be the like with the Celtic or God damn it, Irish mythologies. I had not heard of it, and then I didn't call it the other world. I don't know what I call it. I think I just called it the dream world for like a placeholder name. I was like, yeah, the dream world and all that. And I was creating these concepts, and then I accidentally stumbled upon Celtic shit, and I was like, oh my God, we can just put it over here, and we can kind of use what already hundreds of years of human thought we can already put into this. This is going to be amazing. We're basically creating a mythology now. Anyway, mustache hair in my mouth. So I was like, this is perfect. We can use this, but then I pause. I was like, but what are the Fae, the fairy people in my book? Because of just for like a few people's like assumptions, it could all work. If it's a demons, if it's demoted angels or demoted pagan deities, which I think are one in one, or elementals, hidden people. I'm like, there's like all of that can work. Elementals, well, that's that whole thing that I could find a way to connect that and my idea of manifestation of emotions acting through spirits. I'm like, oh, I could do that. That could be the Fae people. Hidden people. That could be the forgotten people that were banished. They were made in that realm, brought here, then cursed back in that realm to be sacrificed to the Titans. That could be them too. I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll see. Spirits of the dead. It could be that as well. It could be mankind is being, when they die, their spirits pass through this little area. And this evil entity is taking those spirits from that passing and using them to form his dark army. It could be that. It says they also might be demons. Demons are subservient beings of the Titans. It could be those as well. Could be demoted pagan deities, or demoted angels. That's the Aeon. Are these the Aeon? So it's like I found myself stumbling upon a fucking crossroads where I know I'm going to have to do a lot of research. Like that video where I'm listening to myself talking, I'm going to have to do that shit. I'm going to have to fucking type a bunch of shit out and fucking figure out who these Fae are, who these fairies are. Luckily, it could be all of them because the Fae people are like, there's multitudes of different types of them and different ambitions and shit like that. So I can make it all work. Why is this important to the story? I don't know, like, was this ruining it? I don't know. The other world was created or discovered while the world of Yuandra, that map behind me, I've showed many times, while that was being made. It was kind of this area that the Titans would go to. And they set up their their settlements there. They set up their fortifications or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, places where they inhabited, their dwelling places. And then they moved into here. Now, that place that they made, I've kind of loosely termed the mind of God. So it's like, it is a separate dimensional pocket, if you want to think of it that way, that beings can go, which is not entirely the same as here, because it's kind of like the dream world. Like, things can manifest there without needing to be material. And you can take that shit from that point and put it into the real world. Remember I talked about the manifestation, unmanifestation, and how you have to think of something to make it happen? Well, that's the place where it appears as an image. Like, I want to invent this. Like, it'll appear there. And in that place is where you pull from and bring it into reality. It's like a whole ass thing that you have to do. Well, anyway, the Titans are there, and they're using this to their own advantage. And this place slowly brings people into madness, slowly drives you insane, because it doesn't have the same barriers as this world does, like our world. There, shit can run free. There is no locking into place. I can't keep, like, I have to stay in my body right here, and I'm talking to you. I can't just like, oh, and like fall out of it and go over here and explore Florida. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I can't do that, right? This house doesn't, like, it what is that called? Physics and gravity, right? Like, this house doesn't just fall apart for no reason. I can't talk in other objects. You know what I mean? Like, there is, like, there's barriers. Well, that doesn't exist there. It's barrierless. So shit's running rampant, and that's why it drives you mad. Because there is no rigid lines there. It's not necessarily evil, but it could be if let run wild. You know what I'm saying? It's like when people take trips on, like, ayahuasca or mushrooms or shit like that. Like, that's all that is. You're just kind of accessing it in a sense, and you're allowing things to fall, the barriers to fall away. That's a very mild version of it, I'm thinking. Now, that is a crucial place because of, and this is, I can't talk about this stuff, but suffice to say, there are beings that are there, and it's connected to our heroes and shit. Like, there's a whole story going on there. So that's why I accidentally, right? I'm going to pause you about this shit. We're going to go back to the story. Nacum. I went to a new place and I was scared. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, this is not part of the plan. We're fumbling here. We're making up a story on the fly. I don't understand if this is good or not. I might be walking into a dead end and have to rewrite all this. But then I stumbled upon that one little moment. I want to tell you a story about the Fae people. I could have been like, yeah, you know, like, they were people, and they live in the forest, and, you know, scary, but whatever. It's not a big deal. I could have done that and just left it there. And it would have just been a fun little, oh, that's cool. Anyway, back to the story. He talks to the, I could have done that. But for some reason, I paused there. I thought about it enough and thought, no, I was sent there with Nacum. I sent him there or whatever for a fucking reason. And it makes you realize that every time you're writing a story, like, there's a device, there's a barrier that's there that has now changed. Let me kind of get into that a bit. I'm a little excited, so I'm going to talk a little quick, you know. So, when writing, you think like it's just your mind. You're just making things up. You're exploring fantasy and fictitious things, and you're having fun with it, and you're using your imagination, your creativity. Okay, sure, whatever. But the fact is that there are certain parts when you're doing that and you're walking into your realms, you're creating a world, you're making something up, that it can speak back to you. And sometimes you don't listen. I mean, there were other times in the book where I probably should have listened when it was telling me, like, hey, you're stopping here for a reason. You need to do something. And I deviated. So the story accounts for that, and it's like trying to figure out, how can I refine this guy? He deviated. His mind was not prepped and ready for what we had to give him. He needs to stumble upon the right fucking things along the way, and then, oh, now I see it, kind of shit. That's the biggest thing that happens when you're working on these, which tells me that we are moving into another realm, which tells me that this shit's real. Not saying like my book is real, but I mean other places, the other world. I think it's real, man. And I think stumbling into this and walking into this forest, I have unlocked something that needs to be told. And this something has to do with the Fae folk. Oh, man. And I have to take that with Nakum, a side character like the Han Solo to my Luke Skywalker. I have to take his thing and somehow it's got to connect to Eris, the Luke Skywalker. How can I connect those two? The Aragon over here and the fucking Frodo. Like, he discovers something with the Fae folk that has to do with the entire story of Eris's rise into godhood, or whatever you want to call it. Because Eris himself will walk into a forest and some other revelation will happen. So that makes me think that he has to do something to try to save Eris from afar through the other realm. I'm discovering this in real time, so you're just going to have to bear with me. That means I'm going to have to come up with an idea of how he transmits through it, but then coming back, like, along the way, he must discover Beovoc is somehow in there doing something, or Thies, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think of that off camera. We gotta really hone in on that. There's something there that's gonna, you know what I mean? Like it'll take us back. Shit. But I think that's what I wanted to kind of talk about. It's like it is insane how you can transmit yourself into these realms. And if you listen, and if you're patient, and if you trust in the process, which is hard to do, it really is, it's not easy, it can tell the story for you. I was so mesmerized when it just hit me. I was like, wait a minute, Fae folk. And then I started reading some of these things, and it's just clicking and all. You know what I mean? Like, you're reading it, you're like, oh, this makes weight. This, and I knew, I'm like, this is a thing. I'm gonna have to write reports. I'm gonna have to like do recordings and listen back to them countless times and take notes as I'm talking. I'm gonna have to slowly find a way to take this, as I said in the last video, and form it into a puzzle piece. And now I have a puzzle, and I take it to the massive puzzle, and it fits perfectly. Like that's what we're about to do. Which means I'm gonna have to take a stop with the book because this is too important. And funny enough, the story of Anna and Jarl are now coming into Cuchulainn. I think that's how you say it, Cuchulainn. The Irish hero, the kind of Hulk Irish hero guy, who's gonna take like and become the king and all that. And I'm like, oh, that'll kind of echo the real one and the Taun and later shit. And I'm just like, oh jeez, we are truly really want to work with the Irish mythology here. It's just insane to me. It really is. You know, Eris's story has always been self-discovery. He's discovering his true purpose, power, and goals, kind of thing. So it's like that will always mirror what these guys are kind of unraveling. And I don't know how to write it in a way where the reader can see it, but the idea is I want them to unravel things that will help Eris along the way. Like, we've learned this, so when we meet back with him, we give him that stuff so he can jump off, and now we have a stronger Eris. Now we have a more honed version of him to become this god of this realm. So it's like it's all working in tandem. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. And Aya alone, like the shit she's gonna unravel in the fucking other, in Adrana, the inner workings of the politics and all that. That'll be the fun part for people that like that shit. But it's like, I still don't know what she's gonna unravel. We have Cyphrus, you know, the anti, I think they're called an anti-mentor that he was. I have to unravel what the fuck he's doing, what's going on with him, because it's crucial to the story as well. But I can't give him too much of a story because it's mostly, there's a thing going on. And then we have this new character named Quinlan, which is probably the most important character in the entire book, I would say. His origin story you can hear in those songs called, well, by the band, which is me and my friend, Niren. Those are his origins, each one of those songs. And then there's a whole, like, we were going to write an album, a second album, and then that's his origin of how he came into this book, honestly, for real. And then I got his whole backstory that I've written already. Fragmented a bit, but like, you know, the bones are there, so I just got to kind of complete it more. There's a missing chapter there. I have his whole story, and he's going to be like, he's Gandalf, basically. He's the Gandalf of the story, but he's not always, I don't know. Eris is not going to meet him till like after book 3 probably, so it's like kind of a weird version. Like, yeah, you don't meet the real wizard until you're halfway done with your life, kind of shit. So that's a whole thing that we got going on too. I really want to tell you, like, man, this book, if I can get enough people to watch these videos where they're actively communicating with me like, hey, we want to hear more about this, I will be happy to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'll do like a live, whatever the fuck it's called. I'll figure it out. I don't have a camera for my computer. I'll have to figure that out. But I'll figure, you know, I can do a live telling of like, here's the fucking story. Let me tell you the origin of it all and this and that, and like word for word, and we can, you know what I mean? I'm more than happy to do that when people want this. The channel's small right now. It's a lot bigger than it was. It's pretty cool. But I'm not getting a whole lot of feedback when it comes to this stuff at all. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll get 40 views, and that's mostly people clicking away because it fell onto their algorithm. I probably only get about 10 actual people that give a fuck about this, which is awesome, but not a lot of them are saying anything to me, so I don't know what they want to know. But I'm more than happy, because my goal is, I'm trying to be very transparent of how I'm making this book. Because I truly feel, along with the other guys, that this is something special. And I'm trying to document the journey along the way. Right now, the views aren't going to be there. But once the book's published and people really like it, all of a sudden the views on these will start jumping, because you get to kind of see the behind the scenes of how everything was made and all this and that. Like, that's the point of all this. Right? But the people that are here right now are getting to see it happen and shit. And that's what I'm saying. I'm more than happy to communicate with anyone if they want to know anything about the story. I try as much as I can. I make videos about how time works. I made a video about the other, like how to access through the manifestation and manifestation. I talk about some of the history. I can talk a little bit more about the Niren, the Titans and all that. I could read that document I finished up on the Titans' creation of the world, and you know, there's a whole lot of things that can be explored. But whatever, you know, we'll see when that happens. And all those short stories. I still have to read short stories. I just haven't got to it. Anyway, we are on a journey to discover the fucking Fae people. That's gonna be our goddamn goal. Honestly, I don't really want to. As usual, I'm like, I don't want to work, you know, because I know this is gonna take a hell of a lot of work, hours and hours of me sitting here trying to figure this stuff out. We need to probably, because the hardest part is I'm not going off of just Wikipedia. I cannot. So I have to find the best sources, the best Irish sources, and all that shit. I'm probably going to have to read some Brooks about it, and I don't even own them yet. I'm probably going to be moving here in the next, under a month, probably. So that means all this shit I just decorated my room finally the way I want it. It's going to have to all be packed up again. But our next office will be a little bit bigger, and we'll have a secondary office, which will be just a library, which will be fucking sweet. Just a room, like as a little library that I'm gonna have. adjacent. It'll just be a bunch of books and bookshelves and a typewriter desk in the middle, so I can just, I'm gonna block the window. It's gonna be a dark little room. And then my office will be like this. It'll be the place where I express myself. Side stuff. We have a lot of work to do. I did not type today. I don't know if I will. I probably end up will be typing on this trusty gal. I love this machine, man. I want to get her looked at. But I probably will be doing some typing on it to create some documents or stream of consciousness questions that I might have, or see if I can kind of fit stuff together. Another side note, I'm more than happy to send some of those videos of like the how this stuff comes to be. I have so much of it, like with the other guys, of us trying to figure things out. And then I have all my own personal ones, and they're all hours long, at least 2 hours of just sitting there trying to come up with this shit and thinking. And I do it because at work, I just put one headphone in, put my, because I work in a grocery store, so I just put that in and put my hat on so no one sees me, and then listen to it, me trying to figure it out, and then it has a note part where I can pause it and say, boop, bookmark that spot, and then I put a little note to myself, like, think of it like this, what about like that, and then, you know what I mean, then I can form ideas from that point. It's how I work at work. Since I have to have a job, I gotta find a way to do this work there. But I have a lot of them. And I'm more than happy to, if anyone wants, I mean, I will. I'll just fucking put them on here and you just listen. It's kind of painful at times because it's just, I'm not trying to entertain anyone. I'm talking to myself, so it's gonna be quiet for like 5 minutes where I'm just typing away, or you know what I mean, or I'm not gonna be 100% out. It's just I'm just like, if anyone wants that, it'll be a little rough. It's like a really niche thing if you really want to hear that kind of shit. Someone making something. I fucking love that shit, but not everyone's me. I enjoy my videos, listening to myself make this stuff. To me, they're a lot of fun. It's like you get to listen to a past version of yourself. It's like not even you anymore at that point. You're a new person. So that's kind of fun, I think, to hear another person talk about your world. Does that sound insane to say out loud? Probably, but whatever. Okay. We have an objective. We have a goal. And this goal will unravel the story. I can feel that it's going to make the story better. I can feel that. You know what I mean? Like, I know that this will make the story a hell of a lot more what I wanted it to be, I'll say. Without spoiling anything. I'm just excited, you know what I mean? Like, this is really... I was fumbling in the dark with Nakim for like 50 or 60 pages. Just like, I don't know what to do here. And I just fumbled in a new land that I've never thought about, with characters I didn't even know were going to happen, all out of nowhere, and it's all... Okay, I didn't pay attention to who that was. I shouldn't have answered that. But that's they get you, man. Usually I'm rude, but I kind of was nice to him. I was like, no, wrong thing. Sorry. But, so, where was I? Yeah, I can feel the story is about to go into this place that like, dude, I don't even know how to say this. It's like I was stumbling for so long, I didn't know what to do, and now I'm like finding a purpose. Like, holy shit, dude. It's crazy. It really is. I'm kind of flabbergasted by it. I'm not really ready for this to all happen. And there's that part of me that's like, oh, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. And it's like, I hope I don't. All the years of me trying to unravel what is the other realm, and I'm about to fucking start treading quietly into it. I'm kind of scared. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit kind of, scared to do this. Honestly. But I do know it's all meant to happen. And we're always on track with what we're supposed to do. Always on track. And it's hard for me to remember that at times. Sometimes I'll just forget that. I'll be like, I don't know if I'm on track for this shit. And I'll get lost in thought, and I'll get lost in my own mind, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'll be reminded, like, hey man, you're still doing it. You're still walking in that direction that you want to walk in. There's something about, in this story here, that I want to walk into and create a other realm. Some sort of place, dimension, or plane, whatever the fuck word you want to use, just another area that is integral to what is happening in our own. Because it's always felt that way. It's some sort of innate human thing where we think like, oh, it's heaven and hell. No, it's not. It's this other realm. And like, every culture's got their version of this other place, right? After death, the astral realm, dream world kind of shit. I don't know. It's dependent on your culture and your belief system. But we all have this fascination to it, and I myself am like trying to find out for me, because it's going to take the story and show the true side of everything that's happening along the way. So you read book 1 and you're like, I would imagine I'm probably almost halfway into book 2. 19 days, we got that many pages, probably about 140 pages in. I'm probably almost halfway through the book. Almost. I don't feel like I am yet. And I hope along the way all the little things are all kind of just being plucked just right, so when the doors swing open, you're like, holy fuck, we are in something here. Something happened. With the story of Eris and that council thing, I've walked beyond that now. I don't know how I feel about it, but I've walked beyond it, and now we're going forward, and I have to sit and think about that now. And I paused at a good spot for him, literally leaving that situation and walking out going like, oh, fuck. So that's a good place to pause for him. Anna and Jal, I paused with them on a spot where they're like, we probably got to get the fuck out of here. This is not good. And they're going to watch the story of Kukluane and his son and the Hafal people and the truth of the Nainiran, the Dark Ones. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole fun thing that's about to happen there. And then in this one, Nakum, I'm about to walk into the fucking Otherworld. So it's like each one of them is like, oh my god, like we're about to like, choosh. Main objective completing, and that to me is like, oh, it's a lot, you know what I mean? I don't know what to do. I'm kind of, it could go any way, but this is the point where the story is like climbing. We're getting to a climax point. Every book needs the hook, and I'm about to find the hook for each version of those 3. I mean, I just think that's incredible. It's so incredible, because one of the hooks will lead to a hook for Cypress. Like when I finish the Jal and Anna scene, there's gonna be the hook for Cypress, because he's gonna come in through that, and then somehow in tandem, Aya and Eris are gonna kind of have a hook together. Like it's all happening. I just have no idea what's gonna happen. Like, I know that we're about to step into the next part of the stories, but for the life of me, I couldn't tell you. Like, well, this is gonna happen for him, and that's gonna happen for her. Like, I don't know. And I think that's the fun part of being a writer, is just like unraveling this shit, because this is nuts, man. It's like, if you've never written before, you probably would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you have, I feel like maybe this is a shared experience where it's like, this is what you write for. It's like, what the hell are we gonna do? And these people are doing their own personal thing, and I'm just watching it happen, but you're also a god at the same time, because they're like stuck and you're like, oh, and then a rabbit ran across the road, you know, like maybe that'll get them moving that way. It takes that sometimes. Sometimes you gotta like destroy your character's city. Just like, I don't want to leave. Like, well, you have to leave. You're the hero. You have an adventure to go on. No, I don't wanna. You're like, okay, fine. I'll destroy your whole fucking city. Oh, damn it. I guess I have to go. Like, yeah, there. Now go. That's what God is to all of us. So it's like, it makes you think. It makes you kind of think, like, what is the difference between an author and a god? And what about the one in your life? Anyway, let's cut from there. We have a lot of work to do. A lot of fucking work. I'm only an hour into my work day and I'm like, ugh. Alright, well, I shall see you in the next one. I'll give you updates along the way.